Despite Donald Trump's repeated campaign promises that his mass deportation raids would target the, quote, worst of the worst, we've seen his administration actually target some of the best. Young students, high school students, landscapers, hardworking people on the job at work. And now American kids practicing the ultimate American pastime, baseball, at practice. One baseball coach, Human Wilder, described his experience at protecting his players after ICE agents showed up at the baseball practice he runs on Manhattan's Upper West Side and Riverside Park. Wilder says the agents, who were armed with guns and tasers, approached some of the kids, some of the players, and began asking about their country of origin. Here's what he told local news.
I told my kids to walk to the back of the cages right here. And I said, they're going to invoke their Fifth Amendment rights. They're not going to say anything. Their parents are, from the Dominican Republic, South America, Mexican, Africa. But they're kids who are born here. They have a 14th Amendment entitlement to live here. I never in my life thought this was going to happen on the Upper West Side in New York City. That whole thing, until it happens to you, you're not aware, and it happened to us.
One local assemblywoman who first brought the raid to public attention warns of this, quote, the only thing that stood between those kids in Riverside Park and a Florida detention center buried deep in the Everglades was a brave coach who knew the law.
Yeah, what a brave coach. They allow black people to protect everybody in the country except theirself. I'll bet you if those kids was black and the police would have came up saying, hey, where were you kids last night? And I bet that coach wouldn't have been as brave to step up and be that protective, because we aren't allowed to protect ourselves. And a lot of people go, what? Well, black popcorn, what are you talking about? You know exactly what I'm talking about. Whenever black people do something for themselves, they get murdered, or they get shut down, or they get their cause sniped and snuffled out, and they never hear from it ever again. Do you guys remember the Black Panthers? The Black Panthers were providing breakfasts, child care for adults to go out and work while someone watched their children, after school programs, tutoring, all kind of shit other than what they painted in that negative light. And where are the Black Panthers today? That's a group that, had it been allowed to exist and grow, imagine what good they could have done for the black community. But when you demonize something and make it look negative and bad, and these Black Panthers are out to burglarize your home and rape your wife and bring down your property values, then yeah, you don't want no parts of that. You see these black men walking around with little black berets on and waving black fists in the air. That scared the shit out of white people who are the descendants of the oppressors of those people. You'd be like, oh, hell no, they're going to come and get us. So we're not allowed to protect ourselves. We're not allowed to do shit for ourselves. And this big old black coach can't do nothing but go out there. You get your hands off them kids. You leave them alone. Quit asking them questions, when he should mind his own business. George Floyd was on the ground getting choked to death, and people were walking around witnessing a murder. And nobody thought at any point that it would have been safe to go and get that police officer off of George Floyd, especially a black person. And there were black people present. There was one black man who was engaging the police on the George Floyd scene verbally. But he didn't dare go up there and put his hands on that police officer and say, man, what in the fuck? You got to get off of this man's neck. You're going to kill him. And physically just nobody loses their mind. We ain't crazy. And when we do, we get killed. They let you know you are getting in the middle of a police investigation. But this man feels brave enough, or he lost his mind and got protective and jumped out there. But we never lose our mind when it come to us. When it come to organizing things and doing things that are going to really benefit us, we always feel safer barking and yelling and screaming out for someone else other than ourselves, because it's more well received. That's a terrible thing, ain't it? Can't do shit for your own self. But this man is out there, and people are probably going, yeah, he did the right. Did you? Well, why are all these kids being questioned on your team? And if the police are racially profiling, or the ICE agents are racially profiling people, then they need to do what needs to be done to make sure that shit don't happen. Because up to this day, we still haven't figured out how to make local police, the police who are on the side of the illegal immigrants, quit racially profiling us. And yet now they're crying out because they don't want to see the illegal immigrants racially profiled, doing to them what they have done to us. And it don't look so good anymore. It's a horrible thing. You're even saying those words is hard for me to hear. I've never heard of any other race being racially profiled in the United States like black people. When I hear racial profiling, I'm thinking black people. And now that term is being lent to the illegal immigrant because the ICE agents are coming in, and because they're observing certain things that give them the impression that they're dealing with illegal immigrants, that's racially profiling. Hey, I was in a parking lot. I noticed these two black guys sitting in the car smoking a cigarette. Neither one of them were going into the store, and the cigarettes kept burning again and again, and they were drinking out of a little red cup. It looked like it might have been alcohol. So I approached them. You know, that's an observance that could lead to contact and possibly arrest. Always has. I smell weed. Is that weed in your car? No, sir, I don't smoke weed. Well, then, since you don't smoke weed and I smell weed, you wouldn't mind exiting the vehicle and let me have a look unless you have weed in there. You know, that kind of shit. And now all of a sudden, they're giving up all the goods. They're letting us know how fucked up they were to us all this time by how nice they're being to these illegal immigrants. Remember the 2-year study for reparations? Remember that? 2-year study. Gavin Newsom. At the end of the 2 years, what did we get? Did we get reparations? They determined that reparations were due. That's what the committee that was put together, headed by Camilla Moore. Why in the hell didn't Gavin Newsom take some of the recommendations? One of the recommendations that would have helped black people gain some ground, move upward as a whole, collectively. Isn't that weird? But they haven't done a study in the city of Los Angeles, and cash payments is on the way if they haven't already hit them hands by now. In addition to the welfare and government programs that a lot of these illegal immigrants are qualifying for. Now they're going to get cash payments on top of that, which is like a paid day off work, a sick day, vacation day, that some people who are citizens in this country don't even get. They give you 2 or 3 sick days out of 365 days. And here we are, paying reparations, protecting, marching for, in some cases risking our lives for the illegal immigrants, as if our fight just dissipated. Where did it go? We didn't achieve what our objective was, so where did our fight go? It was extinguished. It didn't go anywhere. It's still here. But there is a level of our fight that cannot be outside of our homes and out in their streets. And when it gets so frustrating that it does spill out into the streets, California state governors will call and have called the National Guard in for us. They do not call the National Guard for the illegal immigrants, even when they're throwing rocks and bottles, even when they're burning private property, even when they're being disorderly and taking over city streets. Let that shit sink in.
The coach, Wilder, has since moved the location and practice time to try to protect his kids and prevent this from happening again. Despite that precaution, the kids and their parents were so shaken up by the incident that only two have returned to practice so far.
Only 2 have returned to practice. I wonder why. Well, whoever didn't come back to practice might have something to be afraid of. They might be in violation of a real law that is being enforced. Just because the Democrats and the Republicans prior to this administration never enforced it doesn't mean that it isn't a law in the books that can be enforced should someone have the passion or the will to do it. And we all pissed off because somebody look at illegal immigration different than some of us do. And some people look at it differently. Some people, it ain't only the elected officials in the government. Some American citizens, just normal people just like us, feel differently about it. They feel their rights and their money and all that shit is being infringed upon. Their families. It's easy when people say, out of 12 million of them, only 60 murders were committed. But that'd be a low number, but I'm just pulling that out the air. Oh, they're not that bad. You know, they got bars, they got clubs, they drink, they drive, they got streets, they got corners, they got alleys, they do drugs, they have communities, they steal, they commit crimes. This law-abiding citizen shit is killing me. I never heard that kind of support, and it's sickening because you know what? For the most part, black people are law-abiding citizens. But because you've locked so many of us up, I'd have a hard time in a debate with that one. I'd have a very different. I know that why is so many of us locked up in those prisons. But if you debated me, it'd be hard for me based on what you guys got locked up in your country to prove that our men are as good and as honorable as any of the others and worthy of you saying wonderful things about how peaceful they are. You say that a lot. And what hardworking people they are as they mow your lawns, as they clean your house, as you use them as you see fit. Oh, I need that tree removed in my backyard. Let me call this lawn service and get a quote. And you get a lawn service with those, what do you call them, license ID numbers. Get them from a credible source. And they go, oh, shit. To remove that tree is going to cost me $2,500. And that's not even including the haul away. They'll stack it up, but I got to get the wood out of there and clean it up. So, shit. Let me go down to Home Depot and see what you got some guys down there tell you, we take it out for $900. From $2,500 to $900. And one day, and they do the cleanup too. That's it. That's why they look so beautiful and shiny to everybody, because they have something that they can exploit. They have something that they can take advantage of. Let's say, for instance, some guys are in your backyard saving you all that money off that $2,500 job. And one of them, the chainsaw while it's on, hits him across the leg, cuts a main artery or something. He dies on your property. Would you feel liable or responsible, or would you be like, hey, he came with them? You know, that's what they do. All I'm out of is $900. Or would you say, wow, now he can't be out making money for his family? Are you going to go and pick up his little girl and his wife and let them move in your house? That's the way they act. That's the way these reporters and these commentators act. Like they're ready to open their doors up. And it's so different than anything we've ever seen before. That's why a lot of people are so taken back by this. Like, what? Oh, my God, they really love these people. Yeah, they love the fact that they can exploit them on so many different levels. It works out from small businesses to large corporations to individual homeowners. You know, just any damn thing you want. You just go get yourself an illegal immigrant, probably even sex, probably got a level somewhere underneath that you can even ring that up if you know the right contacts. And it just makes life so good for these people in the United States who have found a way to soften the blow and make it look like a really wonderful thing they're doing here. Luring folks across the border just to take advantage of them under the light of, we want them to have a better life. That's terrible. And it might be a better life than they had, maybe. I don't know. But it ain't the best life that they could be living in the United States of America. That's the messed up part.
Joining our conversation is that extraordinary baseball coach, Eamon Wilder, founder of Harlem Baseball Hitting Academy. Also joining our conversation, sports columnist for the Washington Post, professor of journalism at the University of Maryland, Kevin Blackistone is here. Mark Elias is with us as well. Coach, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I want to ask you, and I want to understand, and I want to try to learn where your presence of mind came from to reach for your knowledge of the Constitution, which not everybody has. But I first want you to just tell me what happened. Again, just recount this experience for us.
Well, practice was pretty much finishing up. We usually practice about 2 hours, 2.5 hours. Whenever my iPhone goes out, we're finished with practice. We videotape all our practices for the last 22 years. So I went over to shoot some hoops because my kids are telling me how old I was and I couldn't shoot a hoop like Stephen Curry, which I can't. And I just saw the.
It just pissed me off so bad to know that illegal immigrants come in here, which is a good thing if that's what they want to do with their life, and live on the edge and wonder if you can be deported or not. If it's the upside must be worth it. But the thing that kills me is these are illegal immigrants. They got their kids enrolled in school. They got their kids on baseball teams, nice extracurricular activity. They got their kids learning how to play musical instruments. They got their kids, doing a whole lot of positive things and raising them right and taking advantage of the wonderful country that they've snuck into. While we got kids in our communities out in them streets gangbanging, lack of education, lack of anybody trying to get them educated, trying to figure out what and how we can get through to these young black people so that they don't continue to go down that cycle that's been set up, that we went down and the ones before us and the ones before them went down. Not to fight educating us, and if they do, that's okay, because we got to take that responsibility if it's going to be done right. Nobody's going to tell any black person in the United States of America that they arrived here before Christopher Columbus. That's a fact. No school's going to teach that. They're not going to say there were black people in the United States or where the United States is now and in Mexico and in South. They're not going to say those words because that's something that they've taught for centuries, that they've been here. Their version, they're the winner. They're the oppressor. They're the imperialists. You think they're going to tell a story that's going to make them look more culpable than they are? It's not. It's not happening. And we ought to get over it. We need to accept that fact. They are actively suppressing us at every front, on every front, oppressing us, pushing us down, stifling, and we are complicit. We still feel love to a party, a Democratic Party, a political party that considers us far left, way out there, just for being black. We ain't done nothing else but just being black. But they know the kind of support that they can get for us is far left type support. We're not considered normal in this party. We're not considered a rallying cry. I'll bet you if they found a way to categorize and legalize the illegal immigrant, that class of people, not the Latinos who are citizens right now, but this movement that's going on, they will end up in a better place than us because they have the support of elected officials. They're not going to be far left. No one will look at illegal immigration as far left when the country is divided damn near down the middle on it. The country ain't divided damn near down the middle on blacks getting reparations, blacks getting better educations, blacks getting more help, blacks not competing with illegal immigrants for resources. Nobody want to talk about that part because it makes the conversation way more complex. You don't just get to be easy on yourself and say, that ain't right. They got, oh, it ain't. It ain't. Well, they do it all the time. Why it ain't right now? It's usually right, though, huh?
These ICE officers walking, and I had seen them in Washington Heights. I had seen them in Dykeman, up where more Dominican kids and South American kids live. And when I turned around to get the ball, and I turned around again, I saw them approaching my kids, and I just went over and I just heard them stating, "Where you from? Where your parents from?" And I just stepped in and said, "This is very inappropriate to ask these kids anything." And I said,
It's very noble of him to protect those children like that. Our kids get questioned by law enforcement agencies all the time. Decades ago, they were taking them away from the home without the parents' consent, locking them up, and basically lynching them in a day or two after that. 13, 14, 15 years old, getting tried in a United States court of law without any support, without their family. Their families couldn't even come to court to support them, because if they did, they'd be murdered, or they'd be looked at as supporting a murderer or an accused murderer or whatever the hell they want to call it. These are times we lived through, and these are times we never gotten anything for any of this stuff. We just got nothing. And I mean that literally, nothing. Being at the bottom in a society that you were a part of the foundation, the part of the building of, your labor, your life, your women, your culture, stolen, abused, beaten, battered. That's why when I hear people look at court cases and say, "Oh, that's so violent. It's the worst thing I ever seen. And this person needs to be." Do you know how many people have been violent toward Black people, just openly violent, and gotten away with it, and are still a part of our fabric of our society, are still freely roaming around? Because some of that stuff can be justified. Some of those people do that for a living. They wear uniforms. They go inside prisons and work. They work inside police departments. It's a horrible thing. It's a horrible thing when there's nowhere for us to go, for anybody to help us on any level. You would think that if they pile us up and warehouse us in prisons the way they do, that at least they'd make sure it's humane. At least they make sure that the conditions in there are cool. And when a brother go in there and maybe be wrongfully convicted or over convicted or some shit, that they gonna look out and make sure he get back out and don't get murdered in there, and don't, because it's some fucked up shit in there, bottom line. But they don't. That's not their concern. They trying to get convictions and spaces to put those people in so they can get money. It's a money game. And now all of a sudden, the sky is opened up. Our hearts are bigger than they've ever been. And these illegal immigrants are different. They're different. And it's unfortunate for us that everybody can look at it and see, wow, this is very different. I know I see it. I would just want to know why. Why is this cause so important? Why are these non-citizens being treated better than citizens of the United States ever been treated? Why? Explain that. Can someone just, I hate to sound jealous, but shit, I am. I want to know why all the wonderful treatment, why all the coddling and sitting them in your lap and showing them off to your friends now. I mean, you must be like the talk of the block if you're like the owner of not the owner, but a homeowner who has a maid or a gardener, because people must come around and be like, whoa, and he's still coming to work. Oh yeah, I wish ICE would show up around here. There's no way I'd let him mess with Jose over there. Oh no, he's hard at work. As long as you're abusing people, I guess it's cool, because you can, probably give him water that you never did before, or, probably say, yeah, you know what, Jose, I'm gonna give you extra $5, give him little tips and stuff, because right now it's popular. But when it ain't popular no more, they'll just be shoveling them in here again like they were. The Democrats will not always be on the outside looking in, but this is a really wonderful time for them and for us to go forward differently. And they don't plan on it. The Democrats ain't changing shit. Everything they doing, they good with. They probably looking at everybody else like, what's wrong with y'all? Y'all don't get it? This is the bomb. Y'all don't think Biden was the best president ever? Ever. I mean, he did things no other president ever did. He just was the best. Bullshit. Biden wasn't even the president. That dude had lost it. I would say a year to a year and a half in, they pretty much was, sidestepping him. Probably had Jill working with him just to make sure, they wasn't trying to do him like that. But the country needed to be run, and they just needed to keep going the way it normally goes. That's why all they can talk about is, oh, well, Trump's doing this. It's so different. Oh, it's so different than what we've ever seen before, because they used to putting shit on autopilot. They used to everything just rolling the way it does, no matter who's sitting in that seat. And you get what you want no matter what, because it just go that way. These presidents need to start being more assertive and being more out there. Trump's making a bunch of bad decisions, but there he is. Ain't nobody telling him what to do and what not to do. And when he has advisors and they tell him to do something, he still has the power to say yeah or no. Everybody's like, Elon Musk. Well, now that's one away. Now what we going to say? It's Trump. It's Trump. He understands the power that a president has. He can change things that we've been doing day in and day out for decades. And if we've been doing things day in and day out for decades, and black people don't wake up now and see that we're at the bottom, then our only hope is a president who shakes things up, who makes things different, who gives us an opportunity to get up off the bottom, make things kind of look in the other direction, accentuate somebody else's life for a moment, and give us a chance to organize, to get something, because we're going to have to ask for it. If we haven't been asking, that HR 40 bill they keep introducing, that's some bullshit, and they know it is. They know it's never going nowhere, and then when it get out the House, then it get hung up in the Senate, and only get out the House when the Democrats are in majority, and that's one of the first things they do. So we as black people can say, see, they fighting for us. They only bring that shit up when it's convenient and when they need, nothing going on in the news cycle. Hey, HR 40 passed today. And then knowing that when they get to the Senate, have you ever heard anything about HR 40 over there? They probably ain't know what it is. Hey, who? HR? They don't give a fuck about none of that. You can't promise people an opportunity to better themselves, to live independent of white people the way we would have been allowed and able to by forming our own communities and towns and having our own land. You can't stop that and then turn around and be mad and blaming them for, gosh, slavery is over. Well, we ain't stopped asking. We've been asking ever since, because it's the right thing to do. Your land and your fruit, and even after slavery, abusing us, stealing from us, making us work on your land and sometime not paying, or sometime not paying what you promised. And we had to deal with it. There was no arguing. There was no fighting and fussing. We just had to walk off and deal with it. And over that didn't get us going this way economically. It got us in a place where we barely survived from being cheated, from being undergiven anything. And now we're relying on the Democrats to get us some SNAP and some WIC and some welfare benefits so that we can what? Stay under their control, stay in their hip, and they can get our vote. Our vote is so important to them, but their support for us ain't that important. That's why we way out on at the end of the wing, way out there. That ain't right. We need to be brought in. We need to be looked at in the same light these illegal immigrants are being looked at. Every time something happened with a black person in this country, and I don't see this kind of response, like those police that were just recently acquitted in Tennessee for killing that unarmed black man. Remember those 5 black cops pulled him out and beat the shit out of him? That's when the mayor of that city need to say, nope, I've had enough. I'm not going to back this up. I don't give a damn. Call that police chief in and get something going from you like you guys are doing for these illegal. You guys are going against the laws in the United States of America to support and protect illegal immigrants. And I just want to see something close to that for us. Because I know that if we just get a little bit of a push, a little bit of help, and a little less of that real good defense that you guys been playing on us, we could do some things. But you guys, you guys got quite a defense. I'm telling you, it's shut us down pretty much.
As a person who's supervising them, I'm just going to have them implement their Fifth Amendment right and not say anything to you.
What did the agent say when you confronted them and said these kids have rights, and you got between the agents and the kids?
Yeah, he called. His wonderful words were, "Oh, another YouTube lawyer."
What did they do? Did they leave? I mean, were they ultimately persuaded to leave the kids?
Don't you hate when racist white people do interviews and they try to draw everything out of the host because out of the guests on the show, because they got it all in their head and they want to get that shit out, but they can't. So they have to draw it out of him. Oh, what must have that been like? Were they mean to him? But she's probably as racist or more racist than any of them. But her job is to be a bleeding heart Democrat. And you can hear by the stories that they tell, the things that they talk about, how much they care about black people. They don't genuinely have black people on the show for black people issues or causes, unless it's something that a point they're trying to make or a narrative they need to get out there. And they can easily find, I don't know if it's a catalog or where the fuck they get them from, but they always find black people who get on there and say that shit just right. Like this dude. Perfect. I mean, where do you find a whole bunch of little illegal immigrant kids and a black coach? Isn't that just beautiful? He's just out there, helping those kids develop their skills. And who do those ICE agents think they are? I don't care how illegal something is. The Democrats want laws where if something is beautiful or touches your heart, then you can't arrest. You can't, but no, you notice no one ever has soft spots or looks at anything that we're doing as beautiful or warm or worth supporting. So we are pretty much going to jail. But you can look at an illegal immigrant, no matter how they got over here, no matter what the story was, and have a soft spot in your heart where for your fellow citizens of the country, you don't have that. Isn't that kind of strange? Isn't it weird? And look at this guy.
Alone?
No, they kept changing the goalpost. It became a thing. If they have nothing, the old thing. If you have nothing to hide, you should see. Just trampling the Fourth Amendment right. Didn't really care. The whole thing came up like, I don't care what you say. I don't care what the law says. And the only thing I had that day was my uncle Pete in my ear, who's my bishop, my mother in my ear, the Constitution, and prayer. That's the only thing I had that day.
And tell me how old the kids were and where you guys were. You were in a park on Riverside and 72nd where there are a bunch of ball fields, right?
Well, there's batting cages there. We usually work in Harlem. We're the Harlem Baseball Hitting Academy. And, I always tell people it's very important that we don't want to be sought out as a victim. This academy has been around for 22 years. We graduated 400 kids out of college who walk around with degrees from Stanford and Princeton and Harvard, all African American and Latino kids. So we're not going around saying poor little us, because we do very, very good work. Our thing is, it should not have to have a person who has a master's degree in law to know rights, and this can happen to anybody. If it can happen.
Isn't that weird that we don't know our own goddamn rights, though? They constantly doing shit to us, or are they violating them? I mean, what's going on? How come people aren't this astute when it comes to us? They don't just pop up and say, oh, you know what? You can't do that because of statute and limitations of this or whatever the hell he's talking about that backed the ICE agents up off of those children. And some of them may have truly been illegal immigrants. some of them may have been in situations that they may be being harmed. Maybe the ICE agents have other other information from their investigation that lets them know, hey, this kid is not just an illegal immigrant, but there's a potential those adults that he's over here with aren't his parents. See, that's the down part of the undocumented side. You don't know what the fuck is really going on in there. And we just accept it because they seem, to be illegal. So that qualifies them for a hug, a kiss, and some free money. So we're like, okay, yes. How does this guy know that he didn't just block a kid from going home to abuse? Why didn't he stand back and allow police officers in the country of any level, school fucking police, security guards even, give them their respect? I mean, damn. If a security guard come up and say, hey, excuse me, I need everybody to step over here. And you'd be like, man, fuck you. You a security guard. And then something happened to you later because you stayed in that area you told your ass to get out of. That's on you. I mean, I'm just trying to figure out here. I don't know, man. I'm sorry, you guys. It just pisses me off to know that we know everybody's rights. We know what's wrong and all this. But when it comes to us, like I'm saying, I feel we're as educated about our own shit, but we get nowhere. This man made major progress by shutting that shit down, by them kids being able to be picked up at the end of practice by their parents and not being in police custody, potentially. But he also was pretty brave to step in there with armed police officers being black and shit. And all they out there to do is ask questions and pick up illegal immigrants if they find some. As a citizen in this country, I don't want to be getting between police and anything. I don't want to get between police and any. That just is not a recipe for something good. I don't see it. And I refuse to put myself in that situation unless it's a life and death situation. And if he looked at it that way, then we need to redo policing in this country. If one local police department can see things so differently than the federal level, what they're seeing, there's a huge disconnect, and it is beginning to feel like a civil war is going on. It feels like we are so split that our law enforcement is beginning to take the side of particular civilian groups. I don't think that's a good thing.
On the Upper West Side of 72nd Street, it can happen to anybody. And that's why we have to, there's got to be a better way for the administration to deal with this, and it's got to be a better way for people to understand their rights.
Coach,
you have to be a citizen of the United States to have certain rights. So let's start there. Everybody keeps on acting like illegal immigrants have all these rights. They have the right to enter the country legally. If they fail to do that, there's a lot of rights that they're not going to enjoy just based on that first step. Any step you take after that first step, you cannot be explained. You have to explain that first step before we even talk about step 2, 3, 4, or 50. Why did you take that first step? And if it wasn't political asylum that our kangaroo courts don't agree with, then you're going back. That's just how it is. The United States has such fucked up immigration policies that now they're working against the people who probably have voted some of that shit into existence or supported it all these years. They probably like, damn, yeah, because you guys always had the control to keep those people illegal so you can exploit them. Now you got to get to the point where next time you're in power, you got to do some amnesty or some changing of the laws or something, because these people cannot continue being treated like this by ICE. I don't think when Trump leaves, this is going to end. It's going to be something other politicians are going to run on because it is a problem. And it's something that people are interested in. And we want a different outcome than what we've been getting. And this kind of shit. I would be so pissed off to know someone who is that brave and that stupid that they're going to go out there and confront federal agents because they got illegal immigrants on their team. And these federal officers aren't just driving around or eating donuts and say, hey, look at those kids over there, Melvin. They look like Mexicans. Let's go over there and see if they're here legally. You know what I mean? That's what this man is basically saying. The police officers shouldn't have to give up their information or give up their investigation. They never do to us. Sometimes we like, hey, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? I'm in my own home. What is, no, we can't. You're impeding our investigation, and this man could have easily been put on the ground and arrested. Because these are police officers who come out there to do something. And if you feel that the law is being broken, wouldn't it be using better common sense and self-preservation to call the local police and explain to them on a 911 line while those cops are standing there what you're seeing and what's going on? And see if them local police come out and stop ICE. Because if the local police ain't coming out and stopping ICE, I damn sure ain't doing it. They got guns too.
What did people, it's a really crowded area. A lot of people run in that area. There's a lot of organized practices, and there are other folks trying to practice in that area. What did the bystanders do?
They were, I'm a New Yorker bone and bone, and we're tough people here, but I saw cowards. And I hate to say that as somebody who loves the city.
And then his big old black ass gonna start crying. See, that's the kind of shit right there. What the fuck is he crying for? I mean, you're a coach. You did what you felt was the right thing to do. Everybody has that right, but what is all this shit about? Does that really touch his heart that goddamn much? Did they teach him anything about black history? Does he understand that in comparison, some of this stuff ain't that goddamn emotional? Some of these kids are going to be separated from their parents, but they're going to see them again. They're not being sold. They're not being taken away and put in jail or murdered or something. The parent never going to see them again. They're going to see these kids again. They're not being treated as bad. I'm sorry. They're not being treated bad enough for this big black man to be on TV crying. That's what I'm saying. I believe peaceful protests would be about the best you can do against ICE and what's going on. You could probably ask your Democrats to do a better job at winning seats and shit so that you don't have to deal with this. But other than that, I don't know what to say. How do you go against the police when we've never been allowed to? When it's embedded in us not to? When it's embedded in us to sometime really be triggered to a point of some shit going on and you get yourself killed? You might react in a way just out of the anxiety and the what's going on in your head and memory of what police have done and can do, and being in the midst of that could trigger a person in a way where they might not make it out of that situation. It's not easy to just relax and sit calm and comply when your body just won't relax, when you just can't comply and all that stuff. And this man balling his face up and crying, I don't give a fuck. That's some bullshit. He should be really for real ashamed of himself and be more neutral. I mean, he just got to be neutral on this shit instead of putting himself in a situation where he could have been arrested or he could have been killed. I mean, what if, he's a big old black dude. What if he start wrestling with the agents and he don't look healthy? He probably have a heart attack or something, or they might tase him and force him into a heart attack. It's just such a dangerous situation to get involved in when you have cell phones these days and you have the resources to get other law enforcement. Hey, come take a look at this. Get someone else to come in and have a look. Make sure you're not tripping. Make sure you're not on the wrong end of a lawsuit or the wrong end of being arrested. And you're standing in court thinking, God, it seemed like the right thing to do at the time. Well, you don't. You're black. You should know by instinct not to go against the police. I don't give a damn. Again, parking lot security, anybody. You should comply just to err on the side of safety. But nah, this man is so emotional over this. We need to get unemotional over this and not hate on the illegal immigrants. I wish them well. I hope that they get where they need to be. But it's hard to fight a fight when you got to fight the fight. You know what I mean? We over here worrying about something else on any level, on any capacity, without him figuring out a way. I'd have went home pissed and thinking in some way, how am I going to turn this into something that's going to help us? Because it's helping them. They good. I'm a coach. I'm a citizen of the United States, and I'm risking my safety and my health to get out here and protect these illegal immigrants who parents made a decision and put them in this situation. It's not their fault, but it ain't my fault either. Shit.
It's okay. They're kids. Yeah, tell me what did you want to see, and what disappointed you?
Obeying to authoritarianism, to authority that was out of line, pissing on the Constitution, and they came up like, I don't care. I don't care.
How are the kids now?
We usually carry between 20 and 25 kids. Some of our kids are playing in tournaments throughout the country. Matter of fact, when I get off here, one of our kids will actually be drafted this evening. And he'll be our 45th Major League draft pick. Our kids, it's no one shows up. I mean, we have one kid showing up. We usually carry, between 20, 25 kids who are playing, and we usually carry during the summer between 11 and 15 kids, and we're having one kid show up at practice right now.
Well, yeah, because if they come back, their asses must be illegal immigrants. There must be an issue. Why would your parents pull you off a team just because an ICE agent showed up and started asking a bunch of questions, but you're a legal citizen? What would you gonna just quit going to school, quit participating in sports, not go to the library or to the after-school programs, but you're a legal citizen? Because if you're an illegal immigrant, that's a problem. Why are we having such a hard time with that? It's so unfortunate that it has to happen this way because we, as a country, have created a problem that we, as a country, can't solve. And it's horrible because it seems to have been done intentionally. For them to have done this shit intentionally is horrible. To intentionally saturate the country with a bunch of illegal immigrants, knowing that they will never, ever, ever be able to be returned to their native countries. You'll be able to do what Trump's doing, threaten, and do what Obama did, have a high level of deportations. But to make a real serious dent, it's really not that easy. And they know it. That's why they went the way they went. And somehow the Democrats are under the impression they're going to clean up in the midterms. And I'm thinking, what, do they think people are just stupid? Now, I don't think the Republicans are going to clean up either, but I think it should be about the same, kind of split down the middle, because our politicians on both sides are just screwed up. I prefer a president, good or bad, to have the control and take the helm and roll with it. It's yours. You bought it. Don't get out of office and when people start talking shit about you, claim you seen it another way or it happened differently. Nah. Once we get a few years under our belt, we can look back on most things and figure out, that wasn't a real good policy or that wasn't a real good idea. I mean, it's easy. We can Monday morning quarterback anything. And with that, folks, I'm going to get on out of here. I just would hope that if any of you see ICE, just take care of yourself. Be safe. If you're an illegal immigrant, run. Shit, I don't know. Run, but don't put yourself in danger. You guys be safe out there, everybody. And law enforcement ain't no joke, though. All right? I'm telling you that from a position of experience. Like, comment, share, and please subscribe. We'll see you on the next Black Popcorn.